Welcome to Cryptid Crossroads 505. I'm Larry.
And I'm Vince,
Welcome to the show.
where we talk all things cryptid,
Sasquatch,
aliens,
hauntings.
and anything paranormal you would like to share with us.
You can reach us at cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com.
So settle in, open your mind, and enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome back to Cryptid Crossroads 505. We're here doing it in the studio once again just for you.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the CCR 505 studios. Glad to be here. What's changed since last time? Anything? Other than they legalized the...
I was going to say the biggest change since we last posted an episode was here in the great state of New Mexico, as we say it, cannabis is finally legal. For those of you Spacolis and all the others out there, last Friday was your day.
Yep, that was like Christmas for you guys.
Yeah, it was. and the state did fairly well for 1 week. You know, they made, I think it was 10 million
For a week?
for a week. Not bad. Not bad. So, you know, if my thing is, that shows you how much people use this product. So if you're gonna buy it, you might as well give the tax right back to the people, not to the cartels.
Right, there you go.
So
The war on drugs continues.
that's right. It does. Anyway, we're gonna get back on the Squatch topic tonight. We're gonna start off tonight by, you know, giving you guys a shout out.
Little toast. We're
Little
giving the
toast.
whiskey a break for a minute.
Right. The whiskey said, "You gotta give me a break."
Yeah, and plus, when we see Coors Light, man, our liver gets horny. Just kidding.
He said that, not me. Not so. But anyway, we're going to lead it off. We just got back from a ride. We went to the mountain we usually go and do our squatching at, and we took a ride up there this afternoon, earlier this morning, and here it is nightfall, and we're back late night.
Right.
But it was worth it to see what is going on, if any of the roads are open. And of course, they have them locked up tight.
Right, and actually, they have them locked up tighter than usual.
Yeah, we did notice that they were really locked up tight. So we don't know if people been ramming the gates and just driving through anyway, but they did have some heavy reinforcement that you're not going to ram the gate.
Right, and I posted a couple of pictures of the mountains when we were driving up for those of you who follow our Facebook page.
All right. Right. Yeah. So we know that they wanted to keep us out of all the roads. You know, we think it should open up because it's dry up there. It is. There's still a little snow.
Yeah, little patches, but for the most part, it looked pretty dry. But who knows, you know, how much snow they had. If there's still patches of snow, it could be like 3 feet of mud, too.
Right. No. It could be. But I noticed the stream was running very well.
Right.
It wasn't a little trickle. It had some water coming down. So I know they got moisture up there.
Yeah, that's what we call New Mexico Rapids.
That's right. That's where we do our whitewater rapiding in rubber boots.
Right. Now, we went to the tunnels. You could access the tunnels. You just can't go past them.
Right.
And then, so we went around the paved road. We went to Fenton Lake. And on the way, I saw something very interesting. I saw some trees that were stood up like X's.
They were X marks the spot.
Yeah, but there was really no place to pull off, so we were gonna stop on the way back, try to look for a place to stop, but we couldn't find them again.
No, we couldn't.
But I seen them. They were stood up X's. They weren't small trees either, so I don't know. We really can't say either way because we weren't able to get down and look around. And
Right.
And we did see some peculiar things. Now, we haven't been there since last summer, but we go up there so much. We know the drive pretty well.
Right.
We know the scenery. And when there's something different, we notice it right away. Like there was trees on the side of the road that we saw that were hanging on the guardrail.
Right. Not only that, we noticed one tree by the road had a branch broke, and
Right.
it wasn't a thin branch, and the way it was like broke, you're like, who broke that, and how did they break that?
Right, and it wasn't a higher branch. It was probably
Lower.
midway down, and
Yeah.
so I don't believe it was snow load that broke that.
No, it wasn't, and it looked like it was broken, twisted.
Right,
And so it's like, okay, how did that happen? But little things like that we notice.
right. But if you've ever been to the Jemez, most of the road going to Fenn, well, it's paved, but the thing is, there's nowhere to pull off.
Right? No, it's dangerous if you try.
Right. I was gonna have him just drop me off and go turn around, but by the time he came back, I'd be in the fetal position crying. No, I learned my lesson being left on that mountain alone.
Yeah, I left him up there alone a time or two.
But you know what they say: what don't kill you makes you stronger.
Right? I came back and he was in the fetal position.
It's funny how you go up there with somebody and you're pretty comfortable when we're there
Right.
together, but when you're alone, your mind plays tricks on you.
Of course. You hear all the crackling in the woods. You're like, what's that?
Right.
Who's that? Where's that?
Yeah.
Especially as the sun goes down.
Yep.
It gets a little more and more intense. You're like, oh shit, I'm here by myself. I can't see nothing. I can't even start a fire.
Right. Yeah. And that was that's when we were using a tent.
I know. Yeah, we were tenting the thing. Yeah, because I had to come back down and get my tent.
Your tent, and then the time you had to get in touch with your son, you had to come down
Oh,
to the
yeah.
service
Yep.
or
Yeah.
get beer or something.
No, get in touch with my son.
But anyway, we're itching to get up there. I've been seeing a lot of camping trailers being pulled on the interstate and stuff, and that just gives me camping fever. We're ready to go, and now that we got a camping trailer, we don't even care about the weather because
Right.
as long as we could get through.
Of
Now
course.
it'll be interesting. It looks like they worked not so much on the road, but the fence. They put up more of a rail.
Right.
So I'm thinking maybe they worked on the road a little bit. We couldn't get back there, so I don't know.
I hope so, because that road is washed out bad. I mean, we could still get where we got to go with, put it in 4 low or 4 high and cruise it up. As long as all 4 wheels are spinning and you take it slow, you're going to make it.
Right.
But
But it makes it hard to take a trailer up.
yeah, no, you won't get a trailer back there. You're definitely gonna tent camp back there.
Right. Right. Unless you're crazy like us, we'll find a way.
Right. No doubt.
Yeah. Once we got a taste of sleeping in that bed in the trailer with the heat and the restroom right
I know
there.
we got kind of a little spoiled.
Yeah, we're like, who's
Right.
sleeping outside?
Right. No. Why do we sleep like cavemen?
Right. Well, the thing is, we're not young punks no more, and
Oh, no.
that floor is rough on our backs. And
Oh
our
man,
bodies.
if you don't find an even spot, even if you take a mattress, if you don't find an even spot, you're gonna have those humps on the ground that just contort your body, and you feel it.
Right.
You get up in the morning and you're like, ah.
But those are the sacrifices we make for you.
That's right, so we could squatch.
We could go find evidence. Yeah, but that's basically our trip in a nutshell.
Right.
Next, I wanted to mention a movie I watched. Now, I'm part of several of the Bigfoot groups on Facebook, and I saw this one always pop up when people ask, "Can you recommend a good Bigfoot movie?" And the movie is called Big Legend.
Right.
Now, I don't know if any of you have seen it. I think it's worth the watch.
It is. It's a.
Now, it's a movie, but it's good. There's some aspects about it that are true to like encounters, like what people say, or the sounds and stuff.
Right. The story itself, it's interesting. And you're right. I would say it's worth a watch. Now, don't think that all Squatches do this, because there again, it's a movie, but it's an entertaining movie. And if you're a Sasquatch fan,
You'll like
you'll like it. I think you will. So
Yeah.
check it out. And if the makers of the movie want to kick us any bucks, Hey, we'll take that too.
Yeah, but it was pretty interesting how it ended because
Right.
it ended in a way that there's going to be a part 2.
Right.
So I got to search for that.
Yeah, I wonder if they will make a part 2. I mean, some of these B movies, they got lucky. The movie itself got made.
Right.
So
But the way it portrayed the Sasquatch as being violent, that's a lot of the stuff we hear about the big thicket.
we do, but my thing is, people have assumed, and the theories are that maybe they do take people, but do they eat them? I don't know. There's the theory that they do, especially like we talked about the natives, the forest brides, that they will abduct certain people.
Right.
But do they eat them? I don't know. I don't know.
We won't know.
I guess we won't know until I tie my camera on you and we leave you out.
I was just gonna say, I don't want to find out the hard way. I'll be like a dog with a GoPro strapped to me. What the?
So next time we go, I'm just gonna tie my camera onto you, and I'm gonna baste you with what are they always hanging out?
Oh,
the pheromones. I'm just gonna spray you down with like one of the chemical pumps.
Right. Then he's gonna come back a week later.
with-
Yeah.
and I hope you're in the same spot, but with footage.
Yeah. And then the following week he'll be podcasting alone, and he'll say, "I gotta warn you, this footage is graphic." Yeah. No.
I will do that. Yep. I will give you a warning before. I will say, if you have young children, you may ask them to leave the room.
But see, we're doing it all for you, all in the name of research.
That's right. But on a serious side, the movie was pretty good.
Yeah, I recommend watching it. Now, don't have your hopes up. It's going to answer all your questions about Bigfoot.
right.
It's not. It's just
a
a
movie.
movie about
Entertainment.
about an abduction and how he meets another guy out there, and it's a good watch. As far as being violent like that, you have both sides. Some say, "Oh, they won't hurt you; they're just curious."
Right.
Then you have this other side where they say, "Well, they find people's clothes in the tree
up,
and they don't
yeah.
find the people." But like every movie, I think there's a grain of truth to it.
I think so, and like I tell people, stories that you read about, I don't care if it's a novel, stories and movies, they get their ideas from somewhere.
Right, exactly. A lot of it might be imagination, but it's spawned from maybe a true story they heard.
Right. Yeah.
Now they may have filled in the gaps with their imagination.
Of course.
But that's what makes it interesting.
And that story could have been like an abduction story that maybe someone told him.
Right.
I was, and I don't really remember, and he fills in the blanks.
Right. Yeah. That.
Yeah. So, but no, I agree. But I would say, yeah, check it out.
Yes, but I'm definitely gonna have to look up the second part.
Yeah. Right. Now that my brother's talking about Big Legend, that was a good movie. I was telling him that I've been checking out some series. It's a series on YouTube, and it's from Small Town Monsters, and it's their Bigfoot, their Sasquatch series, where they go to the different parts of forest land throughout the country, Oregon, Oklahoma, Washington, and they basically go out squatching. It's like a little documentary, but it's interesting to see what they do. Excuse me. I had to have a drink of that Coors Light. Anyway,
Your liver was getting hard.
my liver was getting hurt. It was saying, shut up and kiss me. But anyway, these little documentaries it's pretty interesting where they go and how they go with different groups that are like, squatchers herself, have their own little
Right.
kind of clique that goes into the deep forest looking for this creature. And I think there's a lot of little groups like what we do and throughout the nation that people just go out and.
Right.
But I would suggest checking out Small Town Monsters on YouTube. It's free.
And if I'm not mistaken, don't they have some Small Town Monsters on Travel Channel also?
I think they started there with some, but I've known them and I've found all the work on YouTube.
Right.
Now there is some on like Amazon and different platforms, but they put everything on YouTube, and I appreciate that because
Now, they might be on Travel Channel, or I could be mistaken. I could be mistaking it for Terror in the Woods.
or maybe you're thinking of Mountain Monsters.
I'm sorry. Have you ever seen that? I mean, it's ridiculous, but me like a fool, I watch it.
He says, maybe, I'm hoping someday that camera's going to catch something.
Yeah, they're going to catch something in one of those traps.
But on this Small Town Monsters, they actually have recordings of people that they've interviewed or that they've been out. Even when they're out there south, they catch some whoops in the background and some vocalization, and it's analyzed, and it's not in human range. And that's what some of the Squatches do when they vocalize. They're not in human range.
Right.
Let's look at the Sierra sounds. So it's pretty cool what they do. If I had a sponsor, anyone want to?
Hint, hint.
Yeah, I'd go out there and I'd do the same thing, and I'd film it.
Right. Now, speaking of whoops, now we've had a lot of things in the Jemez. We've had tree snaps, tree knocks.
Right.
We've heard them scream. I've seen them. I've seen the eye shine. I've heard them talking.
Right.
And
Right, your experience.
but the only thing I have not heard is whoops.
Yeah.
Now, is that
No.
I never really paid attention. We hear that a lot, like in Alaska or the Pacific Northwest.
Right.
Now, I don't really. I guess I didn't pay enough attention. Does it happen everywhere?
I don't know. I think that like when I hear a lot of stories in the Big Thicket that they talk about maybe some whoops, but they said they whistle a lot down there.
Right. No, I've heard whistling.
Yeah.
Oh, that first time I went out with you,
Right.
I whistled and something whistled back.
Right. No, we've had some pretty cool stuff happen to us out there.
Right. But I was going to, like my point, I've heard everything except whoops.
No, I haven't either, unless that what we thought. I don't even think it was an owl. I think it was something mimicking an owl.
Right,
Because that was a very baritone owl.
Ooh.
Right? Ooh, I was like, holy shit. That owl's about 12 feet tall.
Yeah, and it would answer us. It's funny.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we had a mini conversation for half the night with that thing. But it was crazy. But,
Yeah.
I back to Small Town Monsters. I like what they do. So you are fans that are listening, if you're listening because we know you're into squatching or you're interested in the topic of the Sasquatch. So like these little documentaries, if you haven't seen them, check them out. And if you want to talk to them, get in touch with us. Yeah, we'll talk with you about them.
Yeah. Definitely will.
Yeah, you could just give us a number. We'll call them. We'll have a round table.
Right, there you go.
Right.
Now, speaking of documentaries, I know I mentioned this before. I'm watching the Killer Alaskan Bigfoot. Now, it has about, 8 or 9 episodes?
I think 8 episodes, yeah.
Okay, so I'm on the 4th episode. And speaking, you mentioned the Sierra sounds.
Right.
Ron Moorhead, the one who experienced it, he recorded it, they documented it. They called him. Okay, here we go. I don't even have to ask. I can read your mind.
Yeah, you said the name, so I had to chuckle.
But I said it correctly.
Inside joke.
Yeah, but okay, now I lost my. But anyway, they bring him in to analyze what's going on, and it's pretty cool because he plays some recordings that he has,
Right.
and then they just start getting activity, and they call it what do they call the Bigfoot there? They have a name for it.
Oh, the hairy man, or
No. It's an Alaskan name.
oh yeah, they do say I.
But anyway, they thought it was one, but that night he was playing the sounds, they started getting activity from all around. He's like, you don't have only one here. There's several.
Right. No, and I believe it. Look at that forest, that little island. I mean, Alaska, period, it is thick.
Right. It is thick, and I would say most of it is untouched, unseen by man.
Right. Yeah. So
Other than above.
and that's why I think in this little town where they went,
Fort Hawk.
Port Lock, that little town, ever since the story came out, I mean, it's active.
Right, but I just thought it was pretty neat how they brought Ron Moorhead in.
Right.
But
right.
he's it's interesting because we've talked about our take on Bigfoot, and we think it's a flesh and blood creature. Now Ron Moorhead has experienced them, he's interacted with them, and he talked about them being able to, I guess, like quantum physics stuff, go into another realm.
Right. Well, and he brought that up if and I don't even know where we saw it, where, they covered the Sierra Sounds and whatnot. Oh, I do remember.
Do you remember he spoke at a?
Yeah, I do remember. That was it's on YouTube as well, and it's a documentary, communicating with Bigfoot or something like that. That's where that was from. But yes, he did say, and you remember he talks about seeing the orbs and the ball of light, and that's why
and like a saber,
a long straight,
like a light.
basically like a fluorescent, wavy fluorescent light is what
They
he
went
said.
right through the camp. They all saw it.
Right, and that's where he started to get the idea of that. Well, maybe they are multidimensional because
Right.
I'm seeing all this crap.
Right.
And they went up there for years. I mean, the Sierra Sounds they got, they're not faking that.
No, and I don't know if the sounds they recorded, I might not want to go back.
I would have freaked out on those, but all those were analyzed and came not human, and it wasn't just Joe Bob down at the community college analyzing it.
Right, but it's pretty impressive because once they had their experiences and their interactions with the Bigfoot in the Sierra Mountains, Ron Moorhead really did his homework. He learned about quantum physics and
Right.
interdimensional travel and all that stuff, and that's why he believes they're flesh and blood creatures, but they can travel interdimensionally. I mean, there's so much about the universe we don't know, and I guess one of the theories is they're so close to nature, it's like second nature to them, and maybe at one time we could do it also, but we're wrapped up in technology and maybe we forgot. I mean, just look, we had so much technology that we see in the past that was lost for so many years. For instance, the ancient people made concrete,
Right.
and we lost the knowledge for a long time.
Until the Industrial Revolution, practically.
Yep.
Yeah. And there's just so many things but here's what I think. As we were roaming this land together for whatever, we split.
Right.
I truly believe we split. They took the route of nature and said, no, we only need what the land gives and no more. And we split, and we started our way of thinking, and we said, well, we want to rape the land and everything on it and in it.
And maybe it was we forgot how to do things, or maybe it was our actions that maybe nature closed up to us.
Yeah, I think it's our actions and the way we're living. It's, you can't be in touch with the earth and mine it at the same time.
And pillage it.
Yeah. So, of course, it's like anything else. Once you ignore going one way, you're going to go the other way. Let's take, and I'm going to use this analogy loosely. Let's take a good student that's on the right track and they get introduced to drugs. That one split in their life can change every trajectory depending on which way they choose to go.
Right. It'll change everything from then on out.
Right.
Because you just split off your course a fraction, and a couple years later, you're miles off where you were.
That's right. Those actions you chose to do today differently than they chose. And when you went your separate ways, that just, it sets something off, and there's no returning.
Right.
And I do believe these creatures, they live with nature, and that's what, like you said. Well, what are some of the theories about how they cloak? It's because the way their hair and the oils on their hair reflect light.
Right. And now, they've done experiments with like fiber optic suits to practice invisibility.
Right.
And they know it's hard, but they could do it. I've seen experiments. They have like these glasses, or it looks like a magnifying glass.
Right.
And they put something, and it's invisible. You can't no longer see it through
Right.
the lens. So it is possible.
Bends light.
Right, it bends light. So these creatures, I mean, they probably know secrets of nature, something that we not even close to unlocking yet.
Right.
We think our science is so sophisticated, but there's certain things we have no idea about,
Right.
like that.
Well, we think we are, but here's what we do. Our science is based off nature. We try and take something and chemically break it down and recreate it in the lab with man-made chemicals. That's just that's how we've learned, and that's how we
Right.
do it. But there's some things out in nature like that these creatures may be in tune to that we will never be able to replicate in the lab, like plants out there that only they recognize, that we may trample on every time we're out there, but they're like, that's a vital plant,
Right, right.
I believe they have that capability because in the heat, in the cold, in the rain, in the snow, those creatures still survive and they populate.
Right,
So they got to have, to me, they got to have special skills to live out there.
right. They do, but we don't know enough about them. We don't have a living specimen.
No,
we
we
don't
don't.
know what kind of skin they have because
Right.
look, deer, elk, all the wild animals, they could handle the elements.
Right.
So either these creatures, their skin, their hide can handle it, or they have some secret trick.
Right.
Now, in that Alaska documentary, one thing that was said is the elders say that they live in trees.
Right.
Have you heard that before?
That's one of the theories that,
Now-
they travel through trees as well.
Right. Now they could stay in that warm place. Now there were certain trees in that documentary where they were all scratched up. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And there was this one huge tree. So they think that was like the center of maybe their network.
Right.
But they say the ones that are marked up, maybe that's maybe one of them goes into that tree, or
Says, this is my pad.
right.
This is my address.
Or maybe the tree serves as a portal.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. Because if the elders say they live in trees, maybe they've seen them go in and out.
Maybe, they're, it's hard
Because
to say.
I've seen other sites on YouTube where they do research. Team Squatch USA is one of them.
Right.
And he talks about his encounter. And one of the encounters is there's a Sasquatch running toward his camp and it just vanishes. And then he said for a while, you could still see the footsteps and the leaves moving, but there's nothing there.
I've heard of that as well. The footprints you could follow and they disappear. I've heard it in the snow as well.
Right.
I followed them as far as I could and then they just disappeared.
Right. And that I tried to explain it. I guess I tried to take the scientific route, and I thought, well, maybe they hop on bushes and they walk where there's not going to be no tracks. Or
Yeah.
I've even entertained the thought that, well, why can't they jump and climb a tree and then hop a few trees and then you know,
It's possible.
yeah.
I mean, but don't you think if they got on a tree, because some of these trees are full of snow, you would see the snowfall embedment as they're moving?
It depends on how old the tracks were.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they are, if there's that snow's that deep, I would think there's some up there, and you'd see some of the. But I could be wrong.
But
I
are
don't
we
know.
looking for that?
I'm not. I'm just looking.
Right.
I'm just looking for this. But there's just so many mysteries that surround these things. All we do is we use our mind and think.
Right.
We theorize. What if, or could it be?
Right. Now, I'm just trying to rationalize from my point of view, like a flesh and blood creature.
Right.
Because I know absolutely nothing about quantum physics. I don't understand. I understand the theory behind the portals, but I don't know how it works. I just know what I've read. And
You've never watched Back to the Future?
well, but how are the Sasquatch can get plutonium?
All they need is a flex capacitor.
A gigawatt. Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah, gigawatt. Anyway, no. You got to have fun too. Come on.
Yeah. But no, I'm just trying to make sense of things from what I know,
Right.
And that's why I look at him as a flesh and blood creature. And that night I had my experience, they're walking around like flesh and blood creatures, but I heard them walk off, but I never heard them walk up.
Right.
Now they're either incredibly stealthy or they came out of a portal right there.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but I've heard the theories. I've heard them both.
Yeah. And that's why we go out there. We want answers, we want to know the truth or a little more understanding. We don't want to be left on the mountain alone to be eaten, but we want answers.
Right. No, I don't want to be chow for anybody. And if you watch the movie we recommended, you know what we mean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You'll see that part. You'll get it.
Yeah, I know. But, there are just so many things about these creatures that we just try and cover a lot as much as we can and what we know. And
some of the stuff we talk about, we brought up before. It might sound redundant, but we bring it up because it's brought up to us in a new documentary or something.
Or we come, or it comes to us again and we think, wow, what about this?
Right.
It's like everything on the planet. It gets regurgitated.
Right. And next week, maybe we'll dive into Expedition Bigfoot again.
Right.
Because by then we should have 2 new episodes we could talk about.
That's right. And for those of you that haven't watched that, check that one out too.
Right.
Yeah.
If you don't have Discovery Plus, I recommend getting it. They have a lot of good documentaries.
They do.
It's worth the $4.99. Worth it.
It is. I mean, if you're into the paranormal, the Sasquatch, the aliens,
Right.
they have a lot of good stuff.
Now, my opinion is you pay for 3 or 4 times that much for Netflix.
Right.
But there's just so much more better content on Discovery Plus.
If you're into this
Like
topic.
us.
Yeah, if you're into this topic.
And also Tubi is a free service.
Right.
There's some good stuff there also.
There is. But Tubi's owned by Fox. So Fox throws all that on there just for a little simple fee. Watch the commercials so they get paid.
Right.
But they do throw a lot of good content on there. And we appreciate that. Anyway, we hope you like what we shared with you tonight.
And if you don't, give us a holler.
That's right. Until we speak again, we'll see ya. Hey, thanks for watching.
We hope all you YouTubers enjoyed the show.
That's right. And don't forget to reach out to us at cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com.
Peace.
Peace.